Okay, hey guys, here's the next part of What If Goku Was in Naruto. So now Sasuke leaves everyone wondering about what happened to him. And basically, everything goes as normal for this current stage, I'll say. What happens now is this reinvigorates Goku and Naruto's desire to get stronger, as they both decide to go to train for a little bit on getting more powerful. As during this training stage, Naruto develops the Rasen Shuriken, while on the other hand, Goku dips his hand into his practice to get stronger, as he then manages to develop his abilities even more powerful, and he develops the Spirit Bomb due to his training with the Monkey Sage Wukong and with Kami, making him able to use the Spirit Bomb for more abilities and more capabilities. So now, this is around the time where Orochimaru tries to possess Sasuke. But Sasuke, being more powerful, manages to reverse this operation, and he absorbs Orochimaru into his body, making him more powerful. And Sasuke then sets out to kill his brother Itachi. So Itachi then and Sasuke start to battle. And this battle is much more different than usual, since Sasuke uses his abilities against Itachi and his ki control, as Sasuke then manages to be even more powerful than usual, as he then sets out and manages to kill Itachi even easier than usual. Since Itachi was arguably stronger than Sasuke in the original, Sasuke in this actual scenario managed to kill Itachi, but not before Itachi putting his fingers on Sasuke's forehead and saying, "I love you, my brother," before dying, making Sasuke critically confused on what happened, as he then runs out of energy and passes out. Obito then captures Sasuke and tells him about the true history of Itachi and how he was forced to have killed the Uchiha clan, making Sasuke angry and wanting revenge against the Hidden Leaf village. And to be noted, if you're not watching Naruto, basically what happened is during the fight between Sasuke and Itachi, Sasuke also lost some power due to the fact that Itachi removed Orochimaru from Sasuke's body and killed Orochimaru in this scenario, which meant that Kabuto now takes over Orochimaru's work and becomes basically the inheritor of all Orochimaru's research, meaning that now Kabuto uses this research to find ways to defeat Goku and to become one of the major figures in the world. So now, Sasuke is now angry with Danzo of the Hidden Leaf and wants to kill him. And also during this time, it's around the time where he decides to recruit a team of his own. And he then goes to Orochimaru's old facilities and manages to recruit Karin and Uzumaki, which is the same clan of Naruto's mother. The Uzumaki have the ability of very high chakra reserves, and if you bite Karin while you're injured, it gives you the ability to heal all of your physical injuries. On top of this, he recruits Jugo, who is a human being that has a curse mark ability that makes him transform into a rampaging monster. And then he recruits Sugetsu, someone who can transform into water, and also dreams of collecting all the swords of the 7 swordsmen of the Hidden Mist. And now, after this, he then goes into a secret that no one knew other than Orochimaru, and he unveils someone who was locked up in Orochimaru's secret research facility, as it opens his eyes and steps out. This is Piccolo Jr., enhanced by Orochimaru's research and given a curse mark, making him dramatically more powerful than usual. And he opens his eyes, saying, "It's good to be alive," joining the side of Sasuke and pledging allegiance to Sasuke's mission of getting revenge against the Hidden Leaf village. So now they set out and they start talking to the Akatsuki. And the Akatsuki gives them the mission to kidnap B of the Hidden Cloud Village, which goes similarly to the usual, where instead of actually capturing B, they only capture a tentacle of the 8 tails, which is enough for the Akatsuki, as they don't need the whole Kyuubi, but they just need some of its chakra. And they then use this tentacle and feed it to the statue that will resurrect the 10 tails. Now after this, they then set it on their way, on their own missions, and they start doing other quests and stuff. And Sasuke manages to track Danzo and kill him, which brings him to his next objective, which would be to take over the Hidden Leaf Village and to punish everyone who made Itachi kill the Uchiha clan. So now, after this is around the time that Pain decides that he's going to capture the 9 tails, as he then meets Jiraiya, which is the sensei of Naruto, and kills Jiraiya. Jiraiya also being Pain's old sensei. So Pain ends up killing his own sensei Jiraiya, making Naruto extremely angry. As then the Toad Master offers Naruto the chance to train at the mountain Miyoboku, where Jiraiya trained to get Sage Mode, and they offer Naruto the opportunity to gain his own Sage Mode abilities, as Naruto then goes to this mountain of the Toad Spirits to train. So now, Goku, on the other hand, is focused on other tasks, such as finding ways to evolve his current abilities even further with Kami. As Kami then talks about how Piccolo Jr. has been released and how he needs to be stopped. And Goku looks at Piccolo Jr. and realizes that he has potential to become a good guy, as he then decides to meet with Piccolo Jr. and tries to bring him on the good side. As Goku then lands where Piccolo Jr. is and talks to him, and he says, "Why don't you join me and become a good guy?" As Piccolo scoffs at this and says, "The only way I'll join your side is if you manage to defeat me." As Goku and Piccolo enter fierce combat, none of them willing to let the other one win, as Piccolo is much more powerful than usual, as he then unlocks his Curse Mark stage. This Curse Mark being far more developed than what Goku possesses, and Piccolo then entering his Curse Mark 2 stage, which is the final stage of the Curse Mark. This mutating him so that he has wings and a more demonic-like appearance, and he says, "Gaze upon perfection, Son Goku." As Goku then looks at Piccolo, and he then breathes in, breathes out, and enters his Ikari state. This state not needing to be enhanced by the Curse Mark anymore, as Goku says, "I have given up on the Curse Mark," as he then cuts off his own tail, leaving this Curse Mark behind, as he says, "I will no longer rely on the power of others, but I will rely on my own strength. For that is my ninja way, to get stronger with my own power and to fight other foes." As Naruto then springs into battle against Piccolo, Naruto using his Ikari state and using the Kaioken to have the advantage against Piccolo. This becoming a very, very difficult battle, but leaving Naruto the victor, as he says, "Piccolo, I know you're not a bad guy." As Naruto then uses the evil destroying water that Kami develops to destroy the Curse Mark that possessed Piccolo. And this removes most of the evil that Piccolo had, leaving Piccolo more pure of heart. He's not completely pure, but he's better off than the Curse Mark was making him become. As Piccolo then decides to see what Goku's talking about and joins the Hidden Leaf. And Piccolo then becomes a good guy. So now, after this, since Goku came up with a way with Kami to destroy the Curse Marks, he thinks that this might be helpful if they ever needed to remove the Curse Mark from someone like Sasuke. because he didn't know that Sasuke no longer has a curse mark since Itachi destroyed it. Well, now, after this, basically, Goku now, after going through this development, spent his time training further off in the hidden Leaf village with Might Guy, thinking of ways to become more powerful. And since he trained with Might Guy, this means that Rock Lee was also getting stronger since they found themselves being training partners. So now after this is when Pain attacks the hidden Leaf village, as he then comes and launches a huge meteor from the sky, destroying most of the hidden Leaf village, killing Kakashi and leaving almost everyone dead. And this causes a lot of pain to everyone, as then the worst thing happens after this. Naruto comes and he sees Kakashi, how he is dead, and he comes off to fight Pain, but he gets defeated and barely stands a chance, as he falls down on the ground, nearly fully defeated, as he then sees what Hinata come to try and help Naruto. And during this fight too, Goku tried helping out, but someone in a mask, the masked man Toby, ended up being Goku's fighting partner, as Toby beats Goku and batters him, and as if dictated by fate, Pain launches a chakra rod into Hinata, critically injuring her, while on the other hand, Obito sees Ino, and somehow knowing that Ino is someone important to Goku, he then launches a blast through her stomach, leaving her damaged on the ground. And on both sides, this triggers a dramatic reaction. Goku falls on the ground and says, "How dare you? How dare you injure my friend like that? How dare you injure Ino like that?" As his eyes then go blank, as if there's nothing in them, and the once clear sky gets foggy with cloud, and lightning strikes the ground. Goku says it again, "How dare you injure Ino? How dare you? How dare you?" As he then launches a great shout, as his hair then takes a yellowish color, as he then looks at Obito straight in the eye, and he says, "I will kill you for what you have done." As Goku then charges straight at Obito and punches him so hard that all Obito's ribs break. His arms are battered, his legs are injured, and this power was nothing compared to his Ikari state. And this leaves Obito dramatically injured and on the brink of death. And just as Goku is about to launch a blast to finish Obito off, Obito uses Kamui and enters the Kamui dimension, escaping from sure death. Goku says, "You're lucky you have that technique," as he then falls down and passes out, while Ino manages to barely survive this attack. Now, on the other hand, we see Naruto, seeing Hinata get critically injured, losing all control and having the Nine Tails almost fully take over his body, until someone who is Minato, Naruto's father, manages to use the remaining chakra that he sealed inside Naruto to stop the Nine Tails from taking full control, as Minato talks to Naruto and tells him how he is his father and how he did everything he could to protect him from dying when he was born, and how he loves Naruto and how he hopes that he will become the most powerful ninja there is and the next Hokage, as Naruto takes the advice of Minato to heart, as he then manages to gain control. And he then talks with Nagato, as Nagato manages to use his Rine Rebirth, which is the technique which revives everyone who was killed in the Hidden Leaf, meaning that even though Ino almost died, she gets resurrected and everyone else gets resurrected, meaning that no one in the Hidden Leaf actually ended up dying. But the cost of this Rine Rebirth is that Nagato ended up dying and losing his life. as it comes with a cost. So now, after this, what happens is Obito is angry at the fact that he almost lost, and the fact that everyone was so much more powerful than he expected. As he then says, "We don't have time. We have to accelerate this." As Kabuto then comes to Obito and tells him, "I'm willing to help you, leader of the Akatsuki, Obito. I will give you let you use my ability, which is the ability to resurrect anyone as long as you have their remains, and we will become the victors of this war." As Obito then agrees, as now he goes and he announces that the next ninja war, the fourth ninja war, will happen between all the ninja villages against Obito and the Akatsuki. As then the next ninja war starts, and since Kabuto has much more research, he even uses some of his science to create androids, as he kidnaps some warriors and forces them to take on these android-like appearances. He does this with 2 people, and these end up being Android 17 and 18. Using his science, he managed to turn almost random shinobi into dramatic threats, naming them Android 17 and 18. These androids landed major damage, but since they were not that powerful, they managed to be easily defeated. No, not easily defeated, but they managed to be defeated in the end, but at the cost of many soldiers' lives. And eventually, these androids almost went into hiding after they got damaged. So no one actually managed to kill these 2 androids, but they disappeared somehow during the end of the fight. While on the other hand, due to this resurrection jutsu, Obito springs this opportunity, as he then finds someone who was resurrected that had 9 tails chakra, and he then sacrifices them to the 10 tails statue, as this summons the 10 tails, the force of nature that had the ability to end all life on Earth. As we then see a flashback around 100 to 200 years ago, as we see an alien race called the Otsutsukis summoning one of their warriors called Kaguya, a female Otsutsuki who was given the mission to absorb all life on planet Earth with another companion to assist her. Kaguya then manages to betray this other Otsutsuki, and this Otsutsuki, called Ishiki Otsutsuki, in the fact that he almost dies due to Kaguya, manages to seal his essence into another human being called Jigen, who will resurrect Ishiki in a later date, meaning that Ishiki survives by putting his essence into another human being, leaving Kaguya with the ability to make her own decisions. Kaguya then gets contacted by someone called King Cold. This King Cold being given the ability to be the new ruler of the galaxy, and of a lot of other galaxies, basically becoming a space emperor. King Cold then had a good relationship with the Otsutsuki, as King Cold then used them to create the chakra fruits that were used to give a lot of power to whoever ate them. So since Otsutsukis could make these chakra fruits, they were a huge part of King Cold's military. As King Cold then tells Kaguya that if she does not produce this chakra fruit, then he will cut contact with the other Otsutsuki and end up killing them. Kaguya does not care about this though, as King Cold did not know where Kaguya went, since King Cold did not have Earth on his radar. As Kaguya then cuts contact with the frost demons, the King Cold, and basically moves to make her own path on planet Earth. So this means that King Cold ended up killing almost every other Otsutsuki and the only 2 other Otsutsukis managed to survive this carnage, as King Cold killed almost every other known Otsutsuki except for these 2 others. So now, what happened was Kaguya lived on planet Earth and made friends with some of the population, and due to a misunderstanding, Kaguya ended up being almost killed, and due to this, she then summoned the Ten Tails and killed almost every other human in existence, leaving a few human beings to survive and repopulate the Earth. Since Kaguya was left very traumatized due to the humans she killed, she ended up going crazy. And since she during this time she was pregnant with 2 children, naming these children Hagoromo Otsutsuki and the other one named Hamura Otsutsuki. Hagoromo being born with the Sharingan, while Hamura ended up being born with a Byakugan. So after this, what happened is after time passed, they realized how the mother ended up going crazy and had evil plans for the earth. And they realized how the chakra tree that she planted was not helping people but actually stole life force from the planet, as they did not want Kaguya to destroy their home, as they ended up betraying Kaguya and sealing her inside of the moon, Hamura going to live on the moon and watch over Kaguya. But now after this, what happens is, due to the Ten Tails being summoned on planet Earth, Kaguya's restraints unlock, as he then manages to escape her sealing as she absorbs the Ten Tails, and manages to put everyone into a deep sleep called the Infinite Tsukuyomi, and keeps them inside and keeps them in this state to absorb their chakra at a later point. So after this, the only people that did not get affected by this Infinite Tsukuyomi was Sasuke, Naruto, Goku, and Kakashi. And on top of this, Obito managed to survive this situation, as Kakashi realizes who Obito is and how Obito was his best friend during childhood, as Kakashi manages to talk to Obito, and Obito realizes the flaws in his mistakes, as he then strives to become a better person. But just before he could change all the evil he had done, Kaguya shoots a blast through his heart, as Obito then dies right there. But before he dies, he says, "Kakashi, as you know, I am Obito Uchiha, who gave you that Sharingan you have in your eye. But now, I'm dying, and for all the evils I have done, I want to make one more righteous deed, as I want to give you my last gift, my second Sharingan." As he then gives Kakashi his other Sharingan eye, meaning Kakashi has the full power of the Sharingan. And Obito says, "I know your chakra reserves are not that high. That's why I gave you my remaining chakra. And I expect you to make one last final stand against this Kaguya threat and fix all the mistakes I have made. And on top of this, become the next Hokage and do what I could never do." As Obito then fades away and dies. Due to the fact that Kurama remembers being part of the Ten Tails, and he remembers Kaguya and all her evil, he then manages to talk to Naruto in his mind and says, "Naruto, I know we have our disagreements, but I'm willing to put them aside. We need to team up against this threat. I never told you this, but my name is Kurama, and for this time and this time only, I'm willing to work with you to defeat this threat." And Naruto says, "Took you long enough. You know, I met my mother, and I met my mother while in this mindscape once, and she told me exactly how to defeat you. But I didn't want to defeat you by force. I wanted to make friends with you. So now, how about it? Let's become friends." As Kurama says, "I'll agree to it now, but I can't promise later." Well, Naruto says, "If that's alright, but for now, I now call you Kurama, a shinobi of the Hidden Leaf Village," as they fist bump each other, and Naruto enters his QB chakra mode form, and his Sage mode combined, making himself significantly more powerful. As Goku then looks at all the evil that Kaguya had done, as he then digs deep inside himself and tries to unlock the power he unlocked long time ago when he met Obito, as something changes inside his mind as he opens his eyes, and he then makes a loud shout, transforming into his Super Saiyan form. While on this other hand, we see Kakashi using the power of 2 Sharingans, creating a form called the Susanoo, a giant creature made out of chakra, while Sasuke using his abilities to create a Susanoo to fight against Kaguya. Kaguya managing to bring both Naruto and Sasuke to the point of death, and shooting a blast through Naruto and Sasuke, making everyone think that Kaguya managed to kill them. But in the mindscape, we see how Hagoromo had 2 sons who hated each other, one named Indra Otsutsuki, while the other one named Ashura Otsutsuki. So, these 2 brothers hated each other. Indra had the Sharingan and all the power, while Ashura had a good heart. And due to this, Hagoromo gave Ashura the power of the Sage of 6 Paths, which made Indra angry, and meant that Indra promised that he would reincarnate as many times as possible to defeat Ashura, while Ashura then says he will reincarnate too to make sure that Indra does not go into any mischief. And this meant that now their most recent reincarnations was Naruto and Sasuke. And Sasuke, being the reincarnation of Indra, had his power unlocked by the Sage of 6 Paths, giving him the moon power, while Naruto got the power of Ashura, making him even more powerful. And they now had to work together to defeat Kaguya. As Sasuke says, "I'm willing to work with you this once." As we now see Naruto completely buffed to a completely new degree, while Sasuke also buffed and given a Rinnegan in one of his eyes, meaning that now they were given the ability to seal Kaguya. As due to this teamwork of all of them, they managed to work together and seal Kaguya, bringing her reign to an end. After this, Sasuke then manages, while everyone thinks that things are peaceful now, Sasuke manages to seal away all the tailed beasts who came out of the 10 tails, and he says, "Now that this is over, I will take over the hidden leaf and I will rule it in my own image." As Naruto says, "That will not happen. And remember, I promised and I will still do this. I will bring you back to the hidden leaf, Sasuke." As they then enter into battle, Naruto versus Sasuke. No one willing to interfere as they realize that this is a feud that has to be solved. This battle being one that shaked the planet. Naruto using Kaioken on top of his Kyuubi abilities and facing the strain of this, while Sasuke using his different abilities, and on top of this, he had the enhancement by Orochimaru, making him have some sort of android capabilities and having much higher chakra reserves, meaning that now they both had buffs that no one could decide who the real winner would be. But by the end of the fight, Naruto managed to stay conscious just a little bit longer, meaning that Naruto was decided as the winner of this battle. After all this, we now descend into a peaceful time. The events of the Naruto movie still happen, but that just means Naruto marries Hinata, nothing major. And after this, what happens is Naruto marries Ino, and he has a son who he names Gohan. Naruto marries Hinata, and they ended up having a child called Boruto, while Sasuke married Sakura, and they had a child called Sarada. So now, if you guys want me to go on and go into the future of what happens, let me know. But we could also end it here. But if you want to see what will happen with Raditz, Vegeta, and even Frieza, let me know, and I'll make the next few parts. I think I'll end it in 1 or 2 extra parts, and then that will be what if Goku was in Naruto Z. So thank you for enjoying this series and for watching it this long. I really appreciate it. I know it's been quite a while, but yeah, I hope it was worth it, and yeah, have a good day.